Hello, my name is Stanislav Teslenko, and today I'm gonna show you how to create this steel material and all the tips and tricks that I used in my material workflow. I describe how to create this chipping effect, how to work with edges in metal, and how to create dust cover. So let's begin. So we have our empty scene. Just create the fill layer, which name base metal. Then make it metallic and change it color a bit darker. Then adjust some roughness. Then we duplicate this layer. New fill layer will be a color variation for the metal. Just give it a slightly warmer tint in diffuse color. This layer will be used for create some warmer spots on our metal. Then add black mask, add fill, and add some grunge. Pick the grunge with more definable big spots, big bright spots and big black spots. Adjust contrast to achieve this result, add filter, add blur, and here we have more defining spots for our warmer metal and spots where we have our cooler metal. Then duplicate this layer and make the color more cold. Then just randomize our mask that we will have the spots in different places. So we achieve this result. We will have clearly defined the warmer spots and the cooler spots. Also, you make the roughness slightly different in warmer and cooler layers, so we will achieve a more realistic result. Then duplicate base metal again, and it will be our edges of the material. Add slightly darker base color, add roughness to the edges so they become more shiny, and add black mask, then add generator and add curvature. And we already have this effect. If you have some ramping in curvature, just bring up blur a bit and it will smooth the result. And this effect with slightly darker edges is very important for a more artistic look to the metals. Also add this darker layer to the occluded places, add generator, select dirt, just remove the grunge, and adjust the level to have some nice gradients to allocate this darker layer in right places. Select the lighten mode, and it will give us this result. I repeat once more that having edges slightly darker and shinier than other surface, it's always a good practice when we're talking about metals. Then just duplicate one of the color variation layers, and we will need it to make the darker edges more inconsistent. So change its color a bit, and just randomize the mask so we have brighter spots in new spots, and reduce its opacity, so we have this effect where the dark edges are not so even spread all over the surface. So let's create layer for our wear effects. Just name it wear for now. Then make it metallic, make it dark color, add black mask, add the generator, add dirt, and in dirt settings just by adjusting them allocate the dirt in occluded areas, add one more generator, add curvature, and we will use this to get rid of the unnecessary dirt on the edges. So by excluding the curvature from the dirt mask, we will achieve this result. Add some height values so we can see this varying effect going in occluded areas. The main key to achieving the realistic look in metals it's to working with the height and normal information. So just go to fill, add some dirt or grunge that will work for you. Make it a little bit transparent just to give the overall look to the metal that the surface are not polished and have some imperfections. Add fill and select some more grunge that have big splats on it. Then adjust its opacity just to break overall look of the metal with some huge details. Then we will adjust our edges at curvature and select the subtract mode just to get rid of height information on the edges and make them look more polished and smooth. Adjust its balance, then give it opacity to achieve this look. Add one more generator and one more curvature just to allocate the tips of the edges. So we will have this nice gradient from the center to the edge, which the center that have more height information and the edges that are a little bit more polished and clean. Now let's start working on scratches. Just duplicate one of the metal layers and name it properly, add black mask, add generator, and add metal edge wear. It's a pretty good generator for random scratches, but it need some more tweaks to have the scratches not so continuously and to have them more realistic look and spread it a little bit randomly across the edges. So just tweaking a bit the contrast and the values of the scratches, we have this result. Because earlier we create darker edges of the metal, scratches now looks a little bit more visible on the edges. Just give them a little bit height information, and just here you can see that for the scratches I used more lighter metal and I give him more roughness to make the scratches a bit more reflective, so they will read more clearly on the surface. Add another generator and in this case just select edge damages and just reduce the effect of scratches, just to leave this nice chipping on the edges, and use light and max to blend them together. So we have these nice damaged edges, were very close to what we get in real world, and with nice random repeatedness. Add fill and select grunge scratches rough. So we have these scratches that I use a lot in my workflow. They have some deep settings that I can adjust and achieve pretty much any result that is suitable for me. And just for now, I tweak in some values to get this nice little scratches with some longer ones, and by mixing them with our edges that we already created, we have achieved this nice look. Then we can add some more dense and deeper damages. Just duplicate the base metal layer, make it darker, and reduce the roughness a bit to get this rougher look. It will be a layer for our deep damages. Add black mask, add fill, and in the fill I will select grunge shavings. They have this nice pattern. Add some depth to this mask. Then we need to adjust the contrast a little bit to get rid of the smaller damages and just leave the big ones. Adjust the scale to make these damages slightly bigger. For our purposes, we need a pretty decent size. Now we need to make the proper deeper look to them. I will use the anchor point for this purpose, and effect above the anchor point with blur, so we have this nice deep effect of the depth. Then we need to fix the edges, make them just crisp. So add fill, select the anchor point, and switch the color of the fill, and subtract our fill that are on the top. So by doing so, we will achieve this nice hard edges, and by adding layers on top of the fill and moving the midtones, we can fix the edges of this deeper wounding of the metal to more realistic result. I use this technique pretty much in my materials, so I can get this nice depth effect on any metal damage that I want. Just add some more depth to this. Add another layer of the depth damages with slightly more splotty damages, and we have this nice effect. But we have the damages in the depths of our mesh, so by adding dirt and tweaking a bit the mask, just subtract the mask from the other layers, we will get rid of the damages in the areas in which they could not appear. Then I decided to create some more roughly metallic surface, so I duplicate the layer, name it metal variations, make it slightly darker color and reduce roughness a bit. Then add black mask, add fill, and in the fill I select the galvanized grunge, which look like this. And we already have some nice darker spots, but the case that when we adjust the height information with this grunge, we will achieve this nice metallic surface look. And by adding blur on top of it, we will reduce this effect to nicely done rough metal, which is used in armor, for example. Then just randomize it a bit uh, and fill on top and select some different grunge, make this subtract from the original galvanized grunge, just to add some more effects to the surface and achieve just a little a bit more detailized and metally look. Add generator just to smooth a bit the edges of the metal, select the curvature and subtract it from our masks and give it some opacity. So we achieve already pretty nice looking rough metal, just tweaking the values a bit here and there to achieve the look that you will be pleased with. Then I decided to add some more dirt oxidation metal, just duplicate the current layer and clear the mask, add fill, add select the fine rust grunge for this purpose, just reduce the balance a bit, and reduce the height, so I achieved this effect where I have these nice dirty spots in some areas of the metal. Because of this grunge, I have this very water look surface. It looks nice on the metal, like a wearing effect. So add this grunge to occluded places, but add generator and add dirt, as we do like we do in our previous iterations of materials, and place the edge scratches on top of our layers, so we don't lose them, and have them on top of our material. So we already achieved this pretty realistic rough metal, but we have one more important stage. It's called dirt and dust. I create a separate folder for this, and which will contain the layers that will be form our dirt and dust material. It's always a good practice to create dust from several separate layers with different grunges, just to avoid the case where you have just one solid grunge color on all over the model that's will look pretty unrealistic. Here I create some uh, dust layers with fully black metallic, because dust is dielectric, and we will need no metallic value in it at all. In this case, I create 3 dust layers which have slightly different colors and different grunge maps, just to achieve this nice look. For all spreading of the dust across the model will be responsible the mask that sits on the dirt dust folder. For the start, just add generator add dirt, as we do previously. Just adjust balance of it. Then add one more generator and add mg dust. This filter I download from the substance share, put it on top of the dust, and switch the blending mode to the lighter. Then adjust the level of it, so we have our grunge look more clearly. Here is a substance share where I download these extra generators. I highly recommend to download this all that I show you. That add one more generator and select mg ground dirt, and switch the blending mode to subtract. So we have this nice edges from top to bottom, and we have the effect that the dust are collected on the top and nicely spread out to the bottom with this like chunkier rough line. Add some wax grunge that have some like leaking effect or some smudge effect on it. Add more variations to the dust that cover our metal. Then add fill. Add another dust which may have some more sandy look, or some, like in this case, fingerprints on it. Just adjust the position and the value that you achieve this nice effect or effect that you want. Pay attention that the dust are nicely collected in more occluded areas. Then we can make the edges more cleaner from the dust. Add generator and curvature as well. Adjust its opacity, so we have some more cleaner edges than the other surfaces. It's pretty much it. I show you the majority of tips and tricks about the metals and how to combine the nice metal together. Have a good luck.